regarding taking on the role of prosecuting attorney and knowing what you know now, having that hindsight, and how that played into your preparation for the role.
A number of the guys who were playing the defense attorneys had got in touch with the people that they were playing, and myself and Martin Henderson were really not sure whether to get in touch with the people that we were playing, and I had my own opinions about what I'd seen in the 3 documentaries. But nevertheless, I called John Fogelman and left a message, and I felt like that was enough. Like I'd put the effort out there to speak to him. But sure enough, the next day he called me back, and we started talking, and it was a really tough thing for me not to ask him how he felt in hindsight. So I chose not to, because the character I was playing was from 20 years ago. It wasn't somebody from now. So I specifically didn't ask him. I didn't want to know. I wanted to know what it felt like to be him then. And I asked him what he felt when he read all of the, all of the testimony, everything that he had gathered. I asked him what he felt like when he walked into the courtroom, how he felt, did he believe in his heart that they were absolutely guilty at that point? And we sort of struck up a friendship it was very interesting striking up a sort of friendship with somebody who really was 20 years before. It was like a sort of time machine in some respects, because I didn't want to know what he felt now, because it didn't help me playing the part now, if that helps at all.
Yes, thank you.
Other questions? Yes, go ahead, right there.
Do you consider activism at all part of this art project, and do you see it as keeping the case alive, hopefully to find the real killer and exonerate the West Memphis 3? And if any of the actors are involved in any projects or activism of that kind for against these projects?
So the questions regarding activism, whether that played a role in your preparation for developing this film and making this film, and also for those actors involved in it, and whether your activism played a role in taking part in this film and keeping this story in the public eye for those who may not be familiar with the documentaries and may come to see this film and learn about this story.
What a great activist response, just like, well, yeah, it's a clear, I mean, of course, this will find distribution and it will be kept alive. I mean, I think that one of the interesting things that has been said about the film is that, well, people have seen the documentaries, but in fact, a lot of people haven't seen the documentaries, and this is a film that's made with extraordinary actors, and it will hopefully find this wider audience, and so people will be exposed to the case for the first time, and actually exposed to details of the case which haven't been explored. I mean, the Chris Morgan strand, the Bojangles strand, the details of what actually transpired in terms of leading up to these arrests. So the film itself, the making of the film, the producers, Liz Fowler and Richard Saperstein and Clark Peterson's decision to kind of like make this film is in itself an act of activism, of course, because it's saying that this story needs to be told. Like Mara Leverett writing a book, any act of art is an act of activism. It's how it's going to be embraced and what's going to happen as a result. But we try and tell the stories with as much truth as possible, and hopefully people respond to that.
I'm curious, just Colin and Reese, you've done incredible jobs portraying historical figures as well as entirely fictional figures, and I'm wondering in your acting process if there's a different approach when you're approaching an entirely fictional character versus someone who is existing.
Why stop talking now? It's been a long weekend. Yeah, it does affect how you feel about things. I think as Stevie was saying, you can't ignore the fact that there's a real life behind what you're doing, and it depends also on how contemporary you are then and the character now. In some cases, the character might be dead. It's unlikely that the character is very close in age to yourself and already having a story told about them. That has happened to me in the past. If you've just moved on a little bit in time and that person's perspective is different from yours, I mean, all of these are variations on how that might be. But the interesting thing is when that person's story is still continuing. You know, there are an awful lot of people that we're telling a story about here whose story is not over. And I think in this case, that's actually rather critical because we've become part of the story. So much of this is to do with versions, accounts, testimony, who said what, who was standing where, whether that was testimony to the police or testimony on the witness stand, testimony to documentary teams, the written word, Mara's book. It hasn't stopped. People are going to carry on and on and on telling this. And all kinds of mythologies develop, and there's such a craving for certainty, for very understandable reasons, that people have hastened towards that at the cost of any chance of extracting the truth from this. So I think what's happening now, all these years later, is some way of trying to make sense of it, to keep the conversation going. And I think critically what Adam has done, I think more in this case than in any of the other, certainly any of the film versions, I think what Mara Leverett tried to do as well, is in this desperation for resolution, is actually to open it up again to question, to keep the questions alive, and to make sure that doubt still exists. You know, doubt is that critical word which is given to the jury. You know, the whole justice system depends on it. And when you start to try to eradicate that, I think that, you know, the truth is very difficult to find. So I really think that this is an attempt to open it back up and give some hope to actually get closer to